Games sell consoles, not high-def DVDs. Let's talk about this for a minute. Getting into Cheetah has decided
video responsibly that left a comment on one of my videos about Adobe Holiday Studio 2.
Windows hardware. Do I really lie?
Hello guys, and we're going to start a new tutorial in Modo, and it's going to be a project-based tutorial, and we're going to go through it from start to finish. It's going to include a little bit of modeling, a little bit of texturing, a little bit of rendering, a little bit of lights, a little bit of everything. It's going to be a long one, so grab some popcorn and get cozy because we're looking at probably 30-45 minutes. I'm hoping to get done way sooner than that, but I'm just not sure going into it because we're going to do it the whole thing. So the first thing we want to do is go to Google Images, and we're going to build a DVD case and scene, and we're going to type in DVD case at Google Images, and you can go through here and find what you want. If DVD case don't show you what you're looking for, try DVD cover, and as you can see it brings up several covers. I have one here I got downloaded, which was Star Wars. As you can see, it looks just like this, and all I did was use Command-Shift-4, and I just cut it up into 3 separate images. I'll show you now. Right here, as you can see, I Command-Shifted-4 around the spine, and around the front, and around the back, and now I have 3 separate images. Okay? And I'll just have those sitting right here on my desktop. And I also have a DVD image of a DVD. So now that we have our images set up, let's go to Modo and let's begin work. Now, I like to begin Modo looking at my little plus X. If you look right here, you can see a plus X, and that's the way I like to start my scenes. If you look down here in the left corner, you'll see this little doodad here, this little gadget that shows you which way you're working. And I like to start with the X in front of me and the Y straight up, like that right there. Okay, so as you can see, we got up here our vertices and our edges and our polygons and our items, and we can get into that later. Just know this will let you select edges on your geometry, points or vertices on your geometry, or whole polygons on your geometry. And the way we're going to start is we're going to build us a DVD case, and we're going to start that with a box. So I'm going to go to my basic tab, and I'm going to grab a box, and I'm going to go in here and basically just rough out what I think would be the size of a DVD case. Now, the size is relative. It don't have to be accurate. I mean, if you want to go in there and actually make it the size of a real DVD case, you can, but we're just doing it inside the computer. No big deal. So that's really up to you. So now, as you can see, let me back up for you here so you can get a complete know-how. So I've selected my box. I'm facing my X. I'm going to click and drag out, like I said, a box about the size I think a DVD case should be. Okay? And when I spin around here, you can see I have this flat plane. Okay? So we need it to be thicker than that. So if you go in here, you'll see this little red star right in the middle, a little asterisk. If you click and drag out, you can see that that will give us some depth to our cube. So now we have this cube here, and it looks, I guess, about this size of a DVD case. So we're not done yet. Instead of beveling these edges, which we could do, we're just going to do it from within the cube options under here, under radius. So I'm going to up my radius and give it a radius segment of about 3. Okay? And I'm going to up my radius here. And you can see when I do that, it's rounding off my corners. You see? If you don't want it sharp, it don't have to be, or you can click sharp and you can see that makes it a little more sharp, or if you like it a little more rounded, it's completely up to you. I'm going to leave sharp unchecked. Okay, so now I'm going to hit the space bar, and when I hit the space bar, it's going to deactivate my cube tools. So I'll hit the space bar and you can see all my handles and stuff disappeared. Okay? So now, let's go ahead and build us a real quick disc. We'll just lay in a disc so we can get an idea of where it's going to be. So as you can see here, we're facing our DVD case, okay, with our Y pointing up and our positive X in that direction. Okay, now you can see this work plane here, this grid facing straight up and down. You can see that my box is built on that work plane, on the direction of that work plane. If I rotate my camera around by holding the Alt key and left clicking and dragging, you can see that work plane snaps. If I turn it far enough this way, it snaps this way. If I turn far enough this way, it snaps back. If I tilt the camera up, you can see, bam, it snaps flat. Okay, so if I was to build a square now, it would build it flat on that work plane, you see. If I was to turn the work plane this way and I snap it that way and build a square, it would build it that way. Okay, that is the purpose, one of the more simple purposes of the work plane. So I'm going to tilt my camera up until that work plane snaps flat, like a ground, like that right there. And I'm going to grab my cylinder tool, okay, and I'm going to draw out a disc. And in order to do that, what you have to do is, after we got it tilted up here, I'm just going to click once, and that gives me my handles. Now I'm going to hold my control key and click and drag, and as you can see, when I do that, that gives me just a uniform disc. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit of thickness by dragging that center asterisk, just like I did last time, and you can see it doesn't have to be very thick. CDs are not very thick, so we're just going to barely give it a little thickness there like that. And I'm going to bring it down. Now remember, I'm using the Alt key and left mouse button to rotate, the Alt and Control key and left mouse button to zoom in and out, and the Alt and Shift key and left mouse button to pan left and right. So I'm going to pull my DVD case down here like this, just right underneath like that, and we can bring it over a little bit here like so. And we've roughly got that put into place. Okay, so now that we've got that put into place, we could go ahead and give it a ground plane. So I'm going to go over here to my Basics tab. First we want to hit the space bar, then drop the tool of our cylinder. Okay, I'm going to go over here to Unit Primitives drop down, and I'm going to click. Now you can see there's a current mesh and a new mesh. We're going to use in a new mesh, and this will put our new primitive object in a completely different mesh than this one's in. As you can see, all these items are in this one mesh here. Okay, so I'm going to say plane in new mesh, and that's going to lay down a plane there. Okay, so I'm going to click it, hit the R key, and I'm going to scale this sucker way out like this. I'm going to hit the W key to bring up my transform tools, and I'm going to pull it down to where it's underneath my CD and my DVD case there, like that right there. So now we have us a plane. I'm going to hit Control 1 and toggle my lights off for now, and we'll bring them back on in a minute. Control 1 brings up a menu that lets you toggle your lights, it lets you toggle your wireframe on your model, and if the grid and work plane is in your way, you can toggle the grid and work plane, and it'll make that disappear. Okay? So now we have our plane, which I'm going to go ahead and turn the eyeball off to that and hide it for now. So now let's go ahead and texture our DVD case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my polygon mode up here at the top. I'm going to select polygons, and I'm going to double click that DVD case, and it's going to select the whole thing. Then I'm going to hit the M key, okay, as in money. And when I do that, it's going to bring up a polygon set material box. And I'm going to call this, we'll call it DVD case. And we will give it a color of black, and that will color the whole thing black. Okay. Now if you go to your shader tree, you'll see under the render tab we have a DVD case material. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go in here like this, and I'm going to select the front and a couple of these polygons to the side of it there like that. Okay, now I got the front one selected and the one over from it selected, and we can do the same thing on this side like so. And if you want to do it up top, you can do that up top too as well, but we can adjust all this later. We're not going to do it right now. So now I have the front selected. Okay, again I'm going to hit the M key, and I'm going to call this front case, and I'm going to give this an orange color just so I can distinguish it. Okay, now the front of our case is orange. Now I'm going to do the same with the back. I'm going to select the back polygon, and the one directly to the right of it, and the one directly to the left of this side. Okay, and like before, I'm going to hit the M key, and I'm going to call this back case. And I'm going to give this the same color. Okay, now we have our front and our back textured. So now let's do our spine here. So we'll go in and select the polygons that we haven't selected already, which are these here. And around the other side here. Like that. Okay. So now, once more, we're going to hit the M key for the third time. We're going to call this spine. And we can give it orange too. Let's make it a little darker just to distinguish it a little bit more than the others. Okay, now we have our DVD case with some generic textures on there, okay? So now we're going to do the same thing to our CD. I'm going to double click it, hit the M key, and I'm just going to call this DVD. And I'm going to give this a dark gray color. So now we have our generic materials set up. Go to our shader tree, you'll see we have a DVD material, a spine material, a back, a front, and a whole case material. All these materials now. So now let's go in and start texturing these, okay? So we can start with our DVD, okay? So I'm going to select, from my shader tree, I'm going to select my DVD material. I'm going to go up, select Add Layer, and I'm going to select Image Map. And this will bring up a box, okay? And I'm going to select Load Image. And of course we want to find our image that we want to load onto our DVD. So let's find our DVD, which that wasn't it. So let's try to find the right one. Let's see here, DVD cover. Let's see what it's called. It is called Reflection. So we'll go in. I'll find the reflection, and there it is. I'll select it. And that will throw my DVD texture on there. But as you see, it's off. Okay? So that's no big deal. We have our image selected. Let's go to our Texture Locator tab. Okay? And under Projection Type, we're going to say Planar because we want it flat. Okay? And we're going to turn it to the Y projection axis, okay, and then we're going to select auto size, and as you can see that auto sizes it to our selection. So now let's go in here and kind of monkey with the size of this. As you can see up here under transform, I have size. I hit the gain select options one time towards an equal sign, and that means all of them are going to change at the same aspect. And I'm going to scale it up, and as you can see when I do that, that scales up that texture also. So I'm going to scale it up all the way up like that right there. Let's go to our material, and let's not make that quite so dark. Like that right there. Okay, now we have roughly got our DVD texture laid on there. So now let's do the same thing for our DVD case. So let's close that down. Let's select our front case. Okay, we'll go to Add Layer, Image Map, and we'll say Load Image. Now we'll go down through here and we'll try to find the picture that we want to use on the front, which is this one right here. I'm going to say Open. And as you can see, that throws it onto the front, but like our DVD was, it's all messed up. So we need to select our image in our shader tree, go to our texture locator. Once again, projection type to planar because it's flat. And this time, we'll put it on the projection axis X, and we'll hit auto size. Okay, now that throws that on there, like that right there. Okay. A couple more to do. Let's go ahead and grab our back. Okay, we'll do our back. Once again, we'll add layer, image map, load image. We'll go all the way down here. Now let's pick the back of our DVD, and I'll say open. Now there's the back there, as you can see. So once again, we're going to go planar, and we're going to change it to the x-axis and hit auto size. Okay, now as you can see, we got it on there, but it's backwards. So we need to flip one of these sizes. So let's try I don't know if we need to do the Z. Yeah. All I did was go into size Z and change it from positive to negative. No number changing, no nothing. Just put a little negative symbol in there of the Z size. And that flipped that around, as you can see. Okay. Now let's do our spline. Okay, our last little bit here. So we'll grab our spline material, add layer, image map, load image. This time we'll grab the spline. Which is right here. I'll say open. Okay, once again, it's not where we want it to be, so we'll say UV map planar. Okay, and you can see there it is right there on the side. So now we want to make sure we put it on the right projection axis, which was projection axis Z for the side here. And as you can see, once again, it's on there, but it's backwards. So let's go in and see which one of these size axes we flip. And as you can see, it wasn't the Z, so I'm assuming it's the X this time. I want to put a negative in front of the X, and that flips that around. Okay, so now we have our DVD textured and our case textured all the way around. Okay, so now we can go back over here. Let's go to our ground plane and turn that back on. I'm going to select it. Okay, by clicking it, hitting the M key, and we're going to give it a material too, and we'll call it floor. And we can make it maybe a little darker gray. Okay, there we go. Now, let's go Control 1 and turn on our toggle lights. So now we can see our light shining on there. So let's go to our render tab and see what this looks like roughly laid out here. Let's go up here to our camera view and kind of adjust this around here. Like so. I'm going to select my plane and maybe make it a little bigger. Like so. Okay, now as you can see, up here in our preview, we got a rough scene. Okay, but you know, we need to do more than that. So let's go to our render tab here and let's check out a few things. I'm going to change my frame height and width, but we can do that later. Okay, I'm not going to fool much with global illuminations right now. We can go over that in another video, but I am going to fool with my settings tab. I'm going to go up to samples. I'm going to change that to 32. I'm going to change my refinement shading rate from 0.25 to 0.1, and I'm going to change my refinement threshold to 0.1, like that. Okay, so you can turn off micro poly displacement. You don't need to do that. Don't need that for this. Okay, now let's close up our render tab here for a second. Actually, no. Let's close up our render tab for a second. And now, let me look here. Let's see, what should we do next? I'm going to select my directional light. Go back to my item list, that is. Select your directional light, and let's change that. Right click, change type, area light. Okay, so now you can see that it gets way dark. But now that I've got my area light selected, I can go up here and select items, hit the Y key, and that will bring up my move, and I can move this light now to where I want it. Like so. Let's turn it around. Let's rotate it around here a little bit. Let's widen it by pulling on the sides, making it a little bigger over here like this. Okay, now we got that there. Let's go ahead and right click and duplicate that light. Okay, so right click and go down to duplicate. Just say okay. That duplicates that light, and we can move that over now. Like so. Let's get it down here real close. Make it kind of bright here in the corner. Lower left corner there. Like so. Okay, now we've got our two lights. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select my mesh. I'm going to go down to new item. I'm going to select group locator. Okay. This will give me a, actually, you know what? We're not going to do that. Let's delete that. And let's add a new item, and let's just add a locator. Now, a locator in some other objects are like null. In some other applications, locators are like null objects. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, let's see, let me look here. I'm going to select my locator. Or select my light, I'm sorry, then shift select my locator. Okay, select your light first, then shift select your locator, and say set target. Okay, now that ensures that that light will follow that locator no matter what. As you can see, the locator here is right here. Okay, now when I move that locator, you can see that that light is moving. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so I'm going to park that locator right there in the middle of that DVD case. Now when I select my area light and go to move it, no matter where I move it to, you can see it twisting there. That light is twisting around. It follows that locator. It's locked onto that locator no matter where I move it. So this light will always be pointed at the center of this DVD case because I have it parented to that light. Okay, so now I got two lights here. One up front, one in the back. So now let's go ahead and do one more. Let's duplicate this one right here. We'll say, I'm not going to duplicate the one that's parented to the locator because I don't want this one pointing at that locator. So I'm going to duplicate the one that's not parented. Right click, duplicate. And I'm going to move this out like so. And I'm going to move it back behind my DVD. I'm going to swing it around like this. Okay, and that's going to light up the back there. I'm going to bring it down, widen it out, just to make that side there real bright, like there's light shining out from right here on the left. Okay, so let's make this a little bigger, so it makes it a little brighter. Like so, make it a little wider, so make it a little brighter like that. Now that we got that shining in there like that, I'm going to change its color. So let's go back to our shader tree, go to our area light that we're wanting to change the color, turn it down and select the light material. I'm going to select the color. I'm going to make this a little blue, like so, and that gives us a blue light in the background. Okay, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to do. I'm going to go to my area lights and turn my samples up from 64 to 512, and I'm going to do that with all three area lights. 512 samples. Like so. That helps. That will help smooth out the light a whole lot. I think I'm going to try and up my dissolve a little bit here, so I'm just going to up it to about 10%. Okay, like that right there. And I think everything's looking pretty good for now. I'm trying to think if there's really anything else I need to show you guys. Let's go back to our render tab now, and let's check out our frame. And I'm going to lower my frame width and height, like so. And I'm going to make this really skinny like this, make it about 310 or something by 400, like that. Okay, now that that brings in my border, I'm going to go over here and click this gain setting 3 times, and that'll bring up a plus. Now I can click and up my resolution. Okay, it's going to keep the same aspect ratio there, as you can see, but I'm upping my resolution. So I'm going to up it to about 1280 by 1280 or something. Or 1280 by 1368. Okay, so let's grab a quick render, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, And here's our finished rough render. As you can see, we might need to go in and make our cube a little smoother and stuff, but on the most part, we've got ourselves a pretty good render. You might want to go in and brighten up some of your lights, or maybe take the light in the background a little further back. It's completely up to you. You can select what area light you want, and you can make it brighter, or by going down here to your radiance and up in your radiance. As you can see, when I do that, the front of that gets a lot brighter there, okay? And we're getting a lot better shadow now, okay? So let's open up a preview render here. And of course, if a real render, it would be, you know, of course, much, much smoother. The shadows wouldn't be so, let's tilt it up a little bit more like that right there. Like so. And there we go. There's our finished shot. We can go in and you can render one more time if you like. It's completely up to you. Like I say, this shot here with the settings that I have takes about 10 minutes to render or so. So let me let this final render out here, and then we'll take a look at it and call it quits. Okay, and there's another final rendered shot. Okay, now there's, you know, lots of little tweaking you can do. You can adjust your camera if your texture ain't fitting quite right. Just go to your shader tree, turn down your render tab, and select the image that ain't quite lining up right, like the front of the case right here. I would go to my texture locator and just start positioning the size and the rotation and the position if it wasn't fitting right. Also, you can select your camera, okay, and in your camera you got focal length. Now up here I can zoom in. As you can see, I can zoom in on the camera, but as you can see, watch down here, the camera moves. Okay, when I zoom out, the camera pulls back out. But with my focal length, what that does is that will zoom the camera without moving the camera. Okay, so I can adjust my focal length. You can see I'm zooming in on the camera there, but my camera isn't moving. Okay, and you can get some really good weird angles using this kind of stuff. You can use your angle of view, you know, wide or not as wide, and you can get some really good good artistic looking shots. You got lens distortion if you want to make it fish-eyed or whatever. Put that back to 0. Now don't forget to use your preview to your advantage in Modo. They're very proud of this, and I don't blame them. Let me bring up a preview window. Now you can see I can go in here and move around just like I can in my model view. Okay, you can see there what we got here going on. You can zoom all around and take a quick look at what your scene's going to look like rendered. You know, and I would be very proud of this preview too. It's very fast and it does the job very, very well. So take advantage of it. It's there. Don't forget to use it. And I guess that's about it really for now. This has been an introductory project. I hope you all have took something from it. Anyways, got a little bit from it. I look forward to doing more projects with you. They'll probably get, you know, more in depth as we go, and I also plan on doing videos on going over just the general interface, what buttons do and how tools work and stuff. I've got several videos on Modo, but you know, these next few I'm going to try to make more organized and more of a series. This is our first project-based training, our first little entry project, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.